Rome is a synonym of beauty, harmony and artistry. The Eternal City is known, among others, for the Colosseum or the Pantheon, but these are only some of the wonderful monuments of the capital of Italy. Get to know these and many other places worth visiting in Rome. The Eternal City, the city on 7 hills or the capital of the world are probably the best known terms for the capital of Italy. For centuries, time was counted from the foundation of Rome. The city with a history of over 2,500 years still impresses and inspires. Why one needs to visit this city at least once? There are many reasons. First of all, this is a place where you will see fantastic monuments, also those you learned about at school. In reality, they are even more interesting and beautiful. Rome's museums are filled with unusual exhibits. You will see history and art at their best there. Although there are always a lot of tourists in Rome, it is enough to go off the beaten track a bit to feel the real Roman atmosphere. That's where you have to look for other reasons to visit the capital of Italy, that is Italian food and excellent coffee. Start exploring the Eternal City from its oldest monuments. According to a legend, the city was founded by Romulus, who was also its first king. The historian Livy even gives the exact date of this event. It was April 21, 753 BC. To begin with, it is worth choosing the Colosseum. It is not the oldest building in the city, but certainly the most popular one. The ancient amphitheater was built by the emperors Vespasian and Titus. It was where gladiator fights and many other entertainments took place. The exceptional ones included, among others, naumachia, that is, reconstruction of sea battles. The Colosseum could accommodate as many as 50,000 spectators. The Roman Forum and the Palatine Hill are right next to the Colosseum. It is a real treat for archaeology fans, although everyone will be happy to visit this place. The Roman Forum is the oldest square in Rome. The most important public buildings were located here, including the Curia or the Temple of Vesta, but above all it was the main place of civic and economic life in antiquity. Famous Via Appia began at the Roman Forum, parts of which are worth seeing in the Parco dell'Appia Antica located in the suburbs. The excavations of the Roman Forum smoothly turn into excavations on the Palatine Hill, that is on one of the Roman hills. It is considered to be the oldest Roman settlement. In the local grotto, the she-wolf was supposed to feed the mythical Romulus and Remus. Here you will see the ruins of temples and imperial palaces. You can visit the Palatine Hill, the Roman Forum and the Colosseum buying just one ticket. You don't have to take notes. We have included all the practical info in the description below the video. That's where you can also find links with accommodation, tickets to attractions and tips on how to pay abroad so as not to overpay on currency conversions. The oldest preserved Roman building is the Pantheon. This temple dedicated to all the gods, founded by Emperor Hadrian, has survived intact. It was built in 125 AD and today it serves as a church. The dome of this building arouses real admiration as its diameter is almost 44 meters. It is made of unreinforced concrete. If you have time, you can also see Trajan's Forum, the Baths of Caracalla, which is a large bathing complex that still arouses admiration with its amenities and momentum, or the Capitoline museums that offer a priceless collection of ancient works of art, as well as interesting artifacts from antiquity. Don't forget about the Arch of Constantine the Great and admire the panorama of the Roman Forum from the Capitoline Hill. On the Capitol you will also find a statue of the famous she-wolf. In Rome you will also find a lot of monuments from the Middle Ages. These will not only be beautiful churches, but also other interesting buildings. One of the most visited is Castel Sant'Angelo. This building, located near the Basilica of St. Peter, was initially the tomb of Emperor Hadrian. In the 4th century, reconstruction began and the tomb was turned into a real fortress. A little later, the castle began to serve as a prison. This fortress was willingly used by the popes. A special fortified passage was even built from the papal palace, so that the pope could discreetly escape to the castle if necessary. Right next to the castle there is a beautiful bridge of St. Angel. Built by Emperor Hadrian, it was one of the greatest bridges in Rome. In the 16th century, Pope Clement VII ordered the figures of Peter, Paul and 12 patriarchs to be placed on the bridge. Santa Maria Antiqua is one of the oldest churches in Rome. You will find it at the foot of the Palatine Hill. Discovered after centuries, it impresses with valuable paintings that were created between the 6th and 8th centuries. In fact, you will find beautiful churches, often with outstanding works of art all over Rome. It is worth to have a look at, for example, Santa Maria in Travestia, Gothic Baroque Illinois Gesù, St. John Lateran and Santa Maria del Popolo. If you are passing a church, step inside. There's a chance you will come across a unique and little-known monument that will delight you. Apart from the already described symbols of Rome, that is the Colosseum, the Roman Forum or the Pantheon, the city is also known for several other unusual premises. These are primarily Fontana di Trevi, Piazza Navona with the famous Fountain of the Four Rivers, the Spanish Steps and the Mouth of Truth. There are hundreds of fountains in Rome, but the Di Trevi fountain is considered the most beautiful. Even if you haven't been to Rome yet, you've probably seen it in one of the many movies. Exploring this beauty is not easy, because there are always crowds of tourists. The fountain is located on one of the walls of Palazzo Poli, and we owe its current look to Pope Clement XII, 18th century. The center of the fountain is occupied by a majestic statue of Neptune. Close to this famous fountain there is another symbol of Rome, the Spanish Square and the Spanish Steps. Built in the 18th century, they lead from the Spanish Square to the Church of Trinita dei Monti. With 138 steps, these are one of the longest and widest stairs in Europe. There are various superstitions associated with the stairs. One of them says that eating on these stairs brings bad luck. However, it is enough to take a picture of yourself with your head bowed to be successful in life. Piazza Navona is one of the most beautiful squares in Rome. Its center is decorated with the Fountain of the Four Rivers, designed by the sculptor Bernini. There are two other fountains here, of More and Neptune. There are plenty of cafes and restaurants in the square, but the prices are not the lowest. Here you can visit the charming church of St. Agnes in Agone, built in the place where, according to a legend, the patron saint of the temple died a martyr's death. It is also worth seeing the altar of the fatherland, that is a huge monument of Victor Emmanuel II, which is located at Venetian Square, on the hill of the capital. This monument commemorates the king who had great merit in the unification of Italy in the 19th century. The Central Museum of the Unification of Italy is located inside. Rome is also inseparably associated with the Vatican. Although it is an independent state, it is also part of the city. It is worth reserving a lot of time to visit the Vatican. You don't need tickets to enter St. Peter's Basilica, but the entrance to the dome of the basilica is ticketed. It is better to buy tickets to the Vatican museums much earlier because there are visitor limits. The Vatican museums will surprise you with the quantity and quality of the exhibits. Entire rooms are filled with works of art by the most outstanding artists, sculptures, paintings and frescoes. The whole route is 7 kilometers long and enables you to admire truly outstanding works. Raphael, Michelangelo and other geniuses of art will provide you with an extraordinary artistic experience. St. Peter's Square, like the Basilica, impresses with its grandeur and extraordinary harmony of the whole. Even up to 60,000 people can participate in the Mass in the Basilica. It is the second largest temple in the world. You can admire wonderful works of art here, with Michelangelo's brilliant Pietà at the forefront. Don't give up on climbing up the dome. It requires a bit of effort, but the view that stretches over Rome from there is simply spectacular. Traveling to Rome these days is not a special challenge. There are flights from various locations. You can easily get to the city center from Rome's airports. You can choose between buses, train and subway. You can also reach Rome by car. The advantage of such a solution is the opportunity to visit interesting places along the way. However, it is best to leave the car on the outskirts of the city and use public transport. Rome is best explored on foot. Most of the precious monuments and attractions are located close to each other, so you can easily reach them on foot. You can get to places that are a bit further by public transport, which is developed really well there. You can use the subway, buses, trams and suburban overground railway. Tickets for all transport means are integrated, so they can be used in all of them. They are divided into integrated one-off and time tickets. Paper tickets can be purchased from vending machines and kiosks, and contactless payments can be made for individual rides. You can visit Rome at any time of the year. However, if you do not like the heat and crowds of tourists, give up going there in the summer months. July and August are the hottest months in the city. There are the most tourists then and the prices go up exorbitantly. It is definitely calmer in the autumn, winter or spring months. April, May, September and October are probably the best months for intensive exploration of the capital of the world. The temperatures are quite moderate, the crowds of tourists are smaller and the weather is rather sunny. An additional advantage are slightly lower prices for accommodation and restaurants. The spring in Rome, which you can admire in numerous parks, is exceptionally beautiful. If you're already planning your trip, you can find accommodation and tickets to attractions on the spot in the links under the video description. You can also order a card for cheap payments abroad the same way. Press the bell and subscribe to our channel if you want to receive notifications about new episodes. Have a nice trip.